Johannesburg Mayor Dr. Mpho Phalatse will be checking how far cleanup and humanitarian efforts are in areas that were affected by recent flooding. Phalatse has warned that the city is facing huge demand for power restoration and emergency accommodation as affected communities are being relocated. SABC News reporter Nozintombi Miya is tracking that story for us. She joins us for more. Very good afternoon to Nozintombi. Tell us more.
Thank you so much, Nzinga. We are here in Roodepoort, where the mayor of the city of Johannesburg is expected to make her way here. She's not here yet, but to continue the conversation, we will be speaking to her spokesperson, Siabe, to give us more insight of what's expected to take place throughout the day today and an update on whether or not the city has managed to get provincial and national to declare certain areas local state of disaster, and also to give us an update on how much the city is looking at in terms of damaged infrastructure. He joins me now. Mabine, thank you so much for joining me. You know, when we spoke a bit earlier, you said that the number of 300 million that you had been discussing throughout the week in terms of damage to infrastructure has gone up. Just explain that to me and take me through that.
Good afternoon to you and the viewers. This afternoon, rather this morning, the Executive Mayor convened a sitting of Cabinet where they were updated on the current state of play when it comes to this particular incident. When the Executive Mayor last addressed the residents of Johannesburg, we're sitting with a figure of 300 million. That figure has gone up to 421 million rand in damage to state infrastructure. The main increase comes from the side of City Power, who initially submitted an assessment of around 31 million rand. That has gone up to 49 million rand. Equally, the Department of Human Settlements has issued a revised number. And of course, these are the figures in the report that we have submitted to the National and Provincial Disaster Management Centre, so we can get that declaration of a state of local disaster.
Mabine, before we speak about the declaration of the state of disaster, let's go back to your first answer. You say that this is infrastructure you're looking at, and today you're going to be doing inspection in local on the infrastructure. Explain to me what infrastructure, give me detail of what infrastructure that means.
So, for example, I stated that City Power are sitting with a figure of 49 million rand that they've requested from the city. That number, that includes mainly substations, many subs that have been damaged, of course, and as well as various other infrastructure. We're talking about the damage to roads, we're talking damage to bridges. I believe the JIF submitted a figure of around 15 million rand, and that also includes the procurement of, for instance, equipment to clean stormwater infrastructure. So this is across departments and entities across the city, and as this is an ongoing incident. So as we stated at the beginning, we expect the figure to go up because some areas are still inaccessible and we haven't been able to access that damage. But the work is ongoing and we're working with national and provincial to do those assessments.
Right now, the flooding and the impact on those communities have been classified as incidents, but you're looking to get those classified as state of disasters. What has the city done to try and get on board province and national?
Look, we are working hand in hand with the provincial and national disaster management centres. In fact, they've assisted us with some of the assessments that we're doing, and we're also conducting our own assessments to ensure that there is an agreement in terms of the level of damage. So that assessment is ongoing, and we expect hopefully this week that we'll be able to get concurrence that will declare a state of local disaster in Johannesburg, and that will allow us to unlock various resources and as well assistance from the national and provincial spheres of government, because ultimately we are not just sitting with 420 million rand waiting for an incident of this nature. So we will be relying on inputs from those spheres of governments to ensure that we can get service delivery operations back to where they were.
Nabine, the reality is people are angry that it's taken so long. Why has it taken this long to get concurrence from all the different spheres? Are there problems that are leading to there not being concurrence between the mayor as well as province and national?
We had a meeting with the director. As I stated, the mayor convened cabinet this morning, and the director of the local disaster management centre briefed us. And from our side, there is no frustrations. We are working hand in glove with the various spheres of government. This is, of course, an administrative process, and we want to make sure that we've done the right thing. But it does not mean that the government is sitting on its hands waiting for this declaration. The work has begun. We are finding money where we can find money. Our social development department is on the ground. The JRA, in fact, have recalled all heads of department from their leave so that we can attend to this disaster. It's something that we're taking very seriously. The mayor has asked for weekly updates from the Disaster Management Center to be able to state where exactly the problems are. And where there are problems, the mayor is unable to herself, through her office, be able to unlock those blockages. But thus far, we're quite impressed with the work that has been done. Councillors on the ground, MMCs on the ground will be joining the executive mayor today.
Mabine, before I let you go and before we wrap up, how will the declaration assist? Will there be funds released? Will there be resources released? How much funds will be released?
So in terms of the number that we're sitting with, 421 million rand worth of damage to infrastructure, that would be able to get money from the national and provincial spheres of government. It also allow them to allow the national and provincial spheres of government to make their own inputs in the kind of work that we're doing here as a city. As a city, our resources are limited. Therefore, we're depending on this local state of disaster to ensure that we can unlock those resources, unlock those funds, and ensure that people's lives can move on.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Mabine. We're going to leave it there. 421 million in infrastructure damaged that the city needs. Still no concurrence between the city of Johannesburg, provincial and national cooperative governments in being able to speed up the classification of those areas that were impacted by the flooding. And ultimately, whether or not proper processes were followed, it is the poorest of the poor that are impacted even further. It is a double whammy for them because not only are they recovering from the devastation of the flooding, they're still waiting and waiting for government to be on the same page to be able to declare those areas disaster areas, for funds to be released, for resources to be released, not just from a city perspective, but from provincial and from national. And people are getting extremely frustrated, and they want movement, and they want to see change being done, and they want to see their houses being fixed, their roofs being fixed, and those people living in low-lying areas being removed to areas that are considered safe areas. We are in the rainy season. It is going to be raining for the next couple of weeks, December, January, February. We know that the Weather Service has said that they are anticipating more rain and more flooding, and it is a very difficult position for the poorest of the poor who have been impacted